Money? It's the thing we all chase, yet the thing very few of us truly understand. Every time you scroll through Instagram or flip on YouTube, you see the glamorous side of wealth: shiny cars, designer clothes, endless vacations, and smiles that look like they were pulled from a magazine cover. But what you don't see are the secrets, the confessions, the hidden truths that almost no millionaire will ever dare to say out loud. In this video, I'm going to peel back that curtain and reveal 8 things wealthy people rarely, if ever, admit. And I promise you, these insights will surprise you, maybe even challenge how you think about money. Because the reality of being rich is far more complicated than the highlight reels suggest. Behind the fortune, there's fear, loneliness, failure, and even guilt. So if you've ever wondered what life is really like once you cross that 7-figure mark, stay with me until the very end. You'll never look at money or millionaires the same way again. And before we dive in, take a quick second to subscribe to this channel. We're building a community of people who want to grow wealth the smart way, without the hype, without the noise, just the truth. The first hidden truth is one that almost no millionaire wants to say out loud: the fear of losing it all. You might think that once someone has $1 million in the bank, their worries disappear. But the truth, the anxiety only changes shape. Behind the polished smiles and luxury lifestyles, many wealthy people lie awake at night asking themselves, what if it all collapses? What if the market crashes? What if a lawsuit comes? What if the lifestyle I've worked so hard to build is suddenly gone? That fear doesn't vanish with money, it often grows louder. And for those who grew up in struggle, the fear cuts even deeper. Imagine a kid who watched their parents clip coupons, stretch every dollar, and panic every time the rent was due. Fast forward 30 years, that same kid has built millions. But the old mindset, that old feeling of not having enough, it lingers. Even when they can walk into any store and buy whatever they want, their brain whispers, what if I go back to nothing? Add on inflation, rising costs, and the constant comparison to others, and suddenly even $1 million feels small. Wealth doesn't silence insecurity, it often magnifies it. The second truth is about belief, and it might shock you. To become a millionaire, most people had to believe something so unusual, so out of line with the world around them, that it almost looked like madness. The average person is told to play it safe, get a steady job, follow the rules, don't take risks. But the people who built wealth from scratch, they had to hold on to a belief that others called impossible. They had to stay convinced that their vision was worth chasing even when family and friends shook their heads, told them to stop, told them they were wasting time. In many ways, it takes a little bit of delusion to keep going. A kind of radical faith in yourself that says, even if nobody else believes this, I do. That belief creates strange opportunities: meeting the right partner, being at the right place at the right time, taking the leap when everyone else was afraid. I'll give you a personal example. Until the age of 30, I had never lived in a house that my family owned. Renting was all I knew. By all logic, who was I to believe I could someday own multiple properties and grow a 7-figure net worth? Yet that unreasonable belief turned into reality. The truth is, millionaires rarely admit how unusual, even radical, their belief system had to be. But without it, their wealth would never exist. The third truth that most millionaires hide is this: money changes relationships, often in ways that are painful. When you have money, the dynamic with friends and family is never quite the same. Some people look at you differently. Some quietly resent you. Others see you as a walking ATM, a solution to their problems. And as a result, many wealthy people pull back. They avoid certain conversations, they downplay their success, they even pretend they're doing less well than they actually are just to keep the peace. And it's not always about other people asking for money. Sometimes it's the guilt. Millionaires often feel guilty about having more, so they overcompensate. They pick up every dinner check, buy gifts they don't really want to buy, say yes when they'd rather say no. It's an invisible weight that hangs on their shoulders. Wealth can be isolating. The fear of judgment, the jealousy, the tension, it makes people withdraw. And some millionaires go so far as to hide their success from new friends or even family members because they know the second money enters the room, the relationship may never be the same. Behind the glamorous image of wealth, there is often loneliness. And that's a truth most millionaires will never admit. The fourth hidden truth is perhaps the most surprising of all. Millionaires fail more often than they succeed. From the outside, you only see the wins: the big house, the thriving business, the flashy car. What you don't see is the trail of mistakes that led there. The failed businesses, the bad investments, the partnerships that fell apart, the money lost because of decisions that, in hindsight, were just plain foolish. Most millionaires carry a long list of scars they rarely talk about. Personally, I've faced foreclosures. I've had bank accounts overdrawn by more than $1,000. I've stared down at $25,000 tax bill from the IRS after an audit shook my entire world. Those moments don't make the highlight reel, but they're part of the journey. And here's the key, those failures become tuition. Every mistake, every loss, every painful lesson paid for the wisdom that later turned into success. Most wealthy people won't bring it up, not because they're ashamed, but because they've trained themselves to live in the future. They focus on building, creating, moving forward, not dwelling on the past. Still, make no mistake, behind every millionaire's story of success lies a mountain of failures that no one sees. The fifth truth is something everybody suspects but few millionaires will ever admit. They work very hard to pay as little in taxes as possible. Now, I'm not talking about cheating the system. I'm talking about mastering the system, learning the rules, and then playing the game better than most people even realize is possible. While the average person grumbles about taxes every April, millionaires are strategizing year-round. They hire the best accountants and attorneys. They create LLCs, S corporations, holding companies, and trusts. They invest in real estate not just for profit but for depreciation benefits. They donate to charities not only to give back, but also to reduce taxable income. Every move is planned. Every decision is designed to minimize what they owe legally. It's not glamorous, and it's not something they post about on Instagram. But behind the curtain, this is how the wealthy preserve their fortunes. They don't just make money, they learn how to keep it. And that's why you'll almost never hear a millionaire publicly brag about tax strategy. In today's world, it's easier to stay quiet than to explain why playing by the rules can still mean paying far less than most people think is fair. The sixth truth is this: reaching $1 million is not the finish line. For most millionaires, it's just another lap around the track. From the outside, people imagine that once you hit 7 figures, you finally exhale, sit back, and feel complete. But in reality, the goalpost keeps moving. 1 million turns into 5. 5 turns into 10. And before long, the idea of enough feels like a mirage that keeps drifting further away. Now, society often labels this as greed. We're quick to assume that wanting more means never being satisfied. But the truth is far more human. Wanting more isn't always about greed, it's about security, stability, freedom, and sometimes just the thrill of growth. Think about it. Nobody earning $70,000 a year says, "That's it, I'm done. I don't want a raise." The same is true for millionaires. They're human. They want to keep moving forward, just like you. Everyday millionaires with 2 or 3 million in assets often still push for more, not to hoard, but to create impact, to protect their families, or simply to keep the fire alive. It's not about being insatiable. It's about being human. The seventh truth is one that almost nobody believes until they experience it themselves. Many millionaires don't actually feel rich. Wealth is relative. $2 million in the bank can make you feel like a king if you're comparing yourself to someone with nothing. But place that same person in a neighborhood where everyone else has 10 or 20 million, and suddenly, they feel small. The definition of rich shifts depending on who's standing next to you. I've spoken to people making $300,000 or $400,000 a year, with net worths over $1.5 million, and you'd be shocked at how many of them quietly say, "I don't feel wealthy." Why? Because they're comparing themselves to someone doing even better. Social media only makes this worse. You might be doing incredibly well, but scroll long enough, and suddenly you feel like you're behind, like you'll never measure up. It's like being a high school athlete watching NBA highlights every day. You might be talented, you might be thriving, but you'll never feel good enough because the comparison game never ends. And that's the hidden reality. Many millionaires, despite their success, don't feel rich at all. But they never admit it because to most of the world, it would sound insane. The eighth truth is perhaps the most humbling. Very few millionaires made it entirely on their own. When people share their stories of success, they often highlight the grind, the sleepless nights, the hustle, the sacrifices. And those parts are real. But what you don't always hear about are the mentors, the investors, the partners, or even family members who stepped in at just the right time and opened a door. Some had angel investors who believed in them when banks wouldn't. Others had relatives willing to loan $5, $10, maybe even $40,000 to help them get started. Some were simply in the right place at the right time, meeting the right person who changed everything. Even I can look back and recognize the role models and opportunities that shaped my path. Hard work mattered, yes, but so did help. The truth is that over 75% of millionaires didn't inherit their wealth, but that doesn't mean they did it without support. Help doesn't always come as a check. Sometimes it's encouragement, mentorship, or just someone believing in you when you're ready to quit. Millionaires rarely admit this because the world loves the story of the self-made hero. But the reality is that no one builds something great completely alone. So now you know the 8 truths that millionaires rarely, if ever, admit. They fear losing it all. They live with unusual belief systems that most people would call crazy. They see their relationships shift in painful ways. They fail more than they succeed, but they keep moving forward. They play the tax game strategically. They never really feel finished. They often don't feel rich at all. And yes, almost every one of them has had help along the way. When you see the highlight reels on social media, remember this. Wealth is complicated. It carries pressures, insecurities, and responsibilities that most people never see. The path to financial freedom isn't glamorous, it's messy, it's human, and it's full of lessons. But here's the good news. Knowing these truths can help you build your own millionaire mindset the right way. You don't need to inherit money. You don't need to be perfect. You just need courage, persistence, and the wisdom to keep learning and moving forward. If this message spoke to you, take a second to like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and leave a comment below saying, "I got value." And don't forget to subscribe because the best investment you'll ever make is in yourself. Remember, the best person to take care of the older you is the younger you right now. Take care of your future. Start today.